Okay guys, now that after the last section of the video we went through the process of finding proven content ideas that'll certainly get us backlinks, now the idea is to actually use that reference content and start to generate our own titles so we can get started creating our own version of that content. So right here on the second section of the Epic Content Worksheet, the second tab here, you can see that we've got some title templates which we suggest that you use. Lists, templates, list titles, and how-to titles are proven sort of formulas for an effective title. So we encourage you just to use one of the variations on our templates here, and you'll be way ahead of the competition just by doing that. Okay, so the example I'm going to walk you through now is going to be the beginner's guide to the oil cleansing method. Now, what we're going to do here, and you're going to do this as well, is we're going to go through some extensive research to get the information that we need and the references that we need to write a really killer article. So, for example, again, our topic's going to be, for this example, the beginner's guide to the oil cleansing method. So the first step, and there's going to be several ways to do this, the first step is to go to Ahrefs and go to the Content Explorer tab, and then type in the keyword for the topic of your article. Okay, so to start, we're going to type in our keyword, which is oil cleansing method, and search. And what this is going to do is pull up popular, similar articles and videos as well. You can see here this first one's a YouTube video, and it'll give us a bunch of examples with this same keyword. So for example, you can see the first video here, it's got 8 referring domains. We have it's from that popular blog we showed you earlier, Wellness Mama. It's got 226 referring domains. Another YouTube video here, another YouTube video here as well. We got a lot of different articles here, and a lot of them have a lot of different links, and also what's really cool here is that you can see they get a ton of social shares. So this one's got 15,000, this one's got 239. So even though it's only got 8 referring domains, it's got 239 shares. Pretty good, right? So we're going to use this, and this is going to be part of our research method. Okay, so what do you do once you actually have this information pulled up? Well, first off, we're going to go down and save the links. This is actually, this article is one that we had saved before, and we're going to take the links and then add it to our spreadsheet, right? So we've already added it here. We're going to add the referring domains, the shares, and the word count. So you can see 222 referring domains, 15,000 shares, and the word count is 1,436. Now, what we're going to do to get the word count, because you might be wondering about that, there's a lot of different tools you can use that are free and very easy. Basically, you're just going to pull up the article, go to wordcounttools.com, copy the article, the main text of the article, and then once you've done that, you're going to paste it into the word count tool. And there you go. It automatically shows you the word count for free. And then just add that information into the spreadsheet here. And then just go down the list and do this for all the main articles that you find now that you've already got your topic. So you can find all of these reference articles, all the different referring domains, the shares, and the word counts, and any notes that you might want to add as well. Now, just in case you're wondering why we're actually saving the word count for these articles, the reason is that as we go and create our own version of this content, we want to have these as reference, right? See any patterns, and also make sure that our length of content is at the very least the same length, but preferably longer, because remember, search engines prefer long form content. So then we're going to keep going down the list, grab another article here, and 60 referring domains, 2K shares, 60, 2,000, and then grab the word count to show you one last example. And here we go. And this one is 1,754. 1,754. Now, as always, there is more than one way to go about researching your competition and creating this archive here. So the second way is, of course, to search in Google for your keyword, oil cleansing method in this case. And what you're going to do is look at the list that shows up on the first page of Google. And what's going to happen is that some of these are going to be redundant. So you can see, for example, I believe this one's a repeat and this one's a repeat of what we've already saved. But then you're going to pull up the other ones and save those as references. You might see some videos. Here you go. Here's a YouTube video, for example, that you might want to save So we can have this sort of comprehensive list of resources. Maybe we're doing a list post of different resources on the topic, or even if not, we're going to want to read all of the different top resources on this topic so that our content is the best. It's the go-to resource on this topic. So again, that'll help us beat out the competition. So remember, you're going to be going down this list and adding all of these sources to your list here, adding in all this information as we've gone through before. And then some other examples of what you might want to put together for your reference content is going to be case studies and research studies. We all know how effective a good scientific citation is, right? As well as a good case study. So one example of how you can do this is to search before and after in this situation, which is going to pull up a lot of different before and after pictures that we can pull up and then find the links to, and have a more comprehensive list of resources, not just how-to information, but here's some real-life examples. And we can, again, go through the same process, save the information, the traffic, referring domains, etc. And then also what you can do is search for research. So you can just literally type in the word research after your keyword, or possibly the term NCBI, which will pull up research studies. And then at this point, you can have some good citations for your articles as well, some legitimate scientific sources rather than just random blogs. And now, if you forget sort of the details about how all this works, both Tung and I strongly recommend that you go back to Module 3, where we go through this whole process in a lot more detail. We go through the content creation process very thoroughly. So if you forget kind of how that works, I highly encourage you to go back to Module 3 and rewatch that just so you're super clear. Another really effective strategy you can use is actually, which is funny, it's popped up here, is to use Reddit to find different articles, because of course Reddit's this massive database of already sort of organized and searched for articles and submissions, so it can be a really great resource for articles that people like. So the way you can search for that is to type in site:reddit.com and then your keyword here. So site:reddit.com and then your keyword here, and then what that's going to do is pull up all the different pages on Reddit that have this keyword. And then what we can do is find some really effective and popular articles with lots of comments. We can see what people are asking about. So for example, we've got this one here, and we can save this information into our spreadsheet as well. So here we've got, it's basically a really nice article as well, lots of comments that we can see, and we can go ahead and save this information in our spreadsheet just like we've been doing. Now, the final resource and strategy that we'll walk you through using is using Quora, Quora.com. Now, if you're not familiar with Quora, and I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing that right, it's a really odd word, but anyways, if you've never used Quora before, basically it's a database where people can ask questions, and then typically experts and different professionals answer those questions based on extensive experience, right? It's massive, really effective Q&A. So what we can do is go to Quora.com, type in our keyword into the search bar, and then once you've searched for your keyword, what you have here is a long list of different questions, and possibly in the questions and answers, there's going to be a lot of different links and additional information that we can also use as reference and inspiration for the content for our own article. So for example, here's one. What is the best face wash for oily skin? And then you've got probably in a lot of cases, a different expert researcher person that has a lot of different links and suggestions, and this will be an excellent source of content for our article. And then once you search for this and find some Q&As that you like, again, just go ahead and add it to your list, and then you're done. Now, at this point in the process, you should have finished your pulling together of different resources to put together as inspiration and reference for your content. Now, the next step is going to be creating an outline for the article. Now, even if you're not going to write the article yourself, you're going to want to do the outline just to make sure it's really good, you're not missing anything, and it's something that a writer, even if you outsource it, it makes it very easy for them to write a really excellent article based on your outline. So for example, here is our outline for the oil cleansing method. We've got the resources here. We've gone ahead and outlined it, and you can use this as an example. Again, we really encourage that you do this yourself. It allows you to ensure that the outcome will be excellent even if you outsource it. Now, the way to write your outline is going to be through a couple-step process. The first step in writing an effective outline is to go at a very, very high level, just see the different sections that you're going to want to build. So a really good tool, by the way, for using this is workflowy.com. It helps you build outlines and different things that you can expand and change around very, very easily. So the first step is going to be building out these different main sections. So for this example, we've got the resources here at the top, which we're using for reference. We've got an introduction, 50 to 100 words, tries to grab their attention. Then we've got what is oil cleansing method, 400 to 800 words, what oils are best for oil cleansing, does oil cleansing work, how to start oil cleansing, additional tips for oil cleansing method, FAQs about the oil cleansing method. So again, we've also outlined the approximate number of words we're going to shoot for in each section. And then, by the way that you determine what the best sections are, the different headers, is going to be from the process that we just went through, right? As we go through and look at all the different reference articles, there's going to be some themes that immediately jump out at you. So for example, in this case, a lot of the articles had information about what is the oil cleansing method, what oils to use, how does it work. These are the common threads that we found that were very, very popular in the other articles, which allowed us to then outline these broad categories, estimate some word counts, and that's the first main step in creating your outline. Now, the second step in your process is to go through each section and break it down into greater and greater detail. So for example, in this section, what is the oil cleansing method, 400 to 800 words. Workflowy shows this very, very nice. So we kind of go down a little bit more detail at each level, which you can see here by the level of the indentation of the bullet points. So we have a little introduction, we've got the how it works section, we've got pros, and we've got cons. And then the next step is to go one level more detailed. So for example, explain the way it works in a clear sort of step-by-step manner. It dissolving and wiping the oil and how it replenishes it with clean, nourishing oil. There's no harsh chemicals. And then we go down to the pros list, and then we list the benefits here, and then we list the cons here. So you can see how it starts very broad with here's the topic, and then here's the list of subtopics, and then within those subtopics, what are the subtopics? And then you just go a little bit more detailed with each step of the outline. And you can see it very sequentially and methodically increase the level of clarity and information until you've got a really effective outline, and then by extension, a very effective article. So for example, this second category, what oils are best for oil cleansing? Again, sort of an intro to this section, list out some of the most important oils, and then go through in detail each oil. So oil number 1, what are the benefits of it? How it works? What it's best for? And then do the same thing for oil 2. Go through the benefits. What's it best for? And then here's some other oils that you might want to check out. So you can see, again, it goes through in great detail, and make sure you don't sort of gloss over anything and go at a very superficial level. The more detailed your article is, the more effective it's going to be. And finally, the last thing you're going to want to do is, as you go through this process, you'll see really great opportunities for using, for example, the research studies or the case studies that you found. Good opportunities to link out to other relevant blogs. So for example, does it work? Well, hey, that's a perfect situation to add in case studies and link out to other relevant blogs, because remember, it's an essential part of our content strategy. So as you go through and you find good opportunities to do that, make sure you add that into your outline as well. Now, once you've finished your outline, the next decision you need to make is, are you going to write this yourself, or are you going to hire somebody else to do it? Of course, as we talked about in previous modules, there's pros and cons to each. what's going to happen is that, of course, writing yourself is cheaper, but it then is more time intensive. But then again, you also have more control of the outcome and resulting content. So basically, if you have the time and you're a decent writer and it's something, especially if it's a topic that you're an expert in, we do recommend that you write it yourself if you have the capacity, because the resulting article will generally be better, even if you even compared with hiring a good writer. However, some of you maybe are not native English speakers or possibly are just really bad writers, in which case it might make sense to hire a writer to do a good job on this. So the way you're going to do that is to have an article brief that you're going to pass off to the writer that you choose. And again, we've kind of gone through this process in the past in previous modules about how to find different writers from different sources, the pros and cons of different approaches. But basically, you're going to create this type of document which very clearly outlines exactly what you want. Because remember, this is supposed to be epic content. It needs to be really good, which means you need to have very, very clear instructions. Because if you have vague or just bad instructions, what's going to happen is the resulting article will not be what you want. It probably won't be very good, which inevitably happens when you outsource things with unclear instructions. So we're going to build this article brief. It's going to be super clear. They're going to have every piece of information they need to write the best article possible. So you can see here there's several sections. There's the topic, the title. We list off the different specific resources that they can use. We tell them exactly, well, not exactly, there's a range, but we tell them that it should definitely be over this amount, so they know exactly the range of length that should be. We give them a description. We tell them that these are some of our criteria, making sure that it's more detailed, more up-to-date, better formatting than the references even that we sent them, even though these are very popular and very effective articles. And then we give them some specific sample articles that we want them to follow and sort of write in a similar fashion to these example articles. And then we give them some very specific rules. So for example, here are some good rules to follow. And again, you can use this as your template for creating your own article brief. But first off, we need to set a tone. So you can write an article in 10 different ways. You can write a very funny, sarcastic article. You can write a very academic article. So the tone that we often use is entertaining and educating. We also suggest that they use first and second person to make it a very personable article. And use the word you frequently, again, to sort of connect with them and pull the reader into a story. So here, and we also even give them specific examples of what's good and what's bad, so they know exactly what we mean. Anyways, you get the idea. You can read through the exact example that we're using right now because we provide this specific document to you in this section of the course. So you can just go through, swap out your information, your topic, your title, your links, etc. And also we have a more general template that you can use, again, back in Module 3, where we go through creating content even more in an even more detailed way. Now, the one thing I do want to remind you about is if you use this template, especially, make sure that you realize here that at the end, this is where you're supposed to put in the actual outline of your article, right? So these are outlines. This is an outline of the instructions, but you need to actually have the outline of the article itself. It's a very important element in this document. Now, once you've finished this article brief, then what you're going to do is then pass it off to your writer. Now, what's going to happen is the more time you spend making an excellent version of this document, the better the person writing it will be able to do. And also, it'll save you some money because you'll then be able to hire a more generic writer that doesn't necessarily have special expertise in this area, because if you write a poor outline or don't give much instructions, then you kind of need an expert so they know what they're talking about. However, in this case, expect to pay something like $5 to $10 per 100 words, and we can actually, again, if we do a very good job, we can find a generic but good writer from textbroker.com. And again, this is something that we go over in greater detail in Module 3, so go back and visit that if you're not super sure about how to use this website or Upwork or what have you. But again, we go through a couple different options there, and make sure not to skip over that because it's quite important. Now, one thing that might hopefully have happened at this point, once you've gotten to this section of the course, is that in earlier modules, you've used things like TextBroker's TextBroker and Upwork hopefully already. So hopefully you already have some good writers that you've worked with. They've done a good job for some of your other articles, so you know who you can count on to write your epic content. But one thing to remember is that once they've written it, you're not quite done yet. So once they give you back and this is the example here, thinkorskin.com oil cleansing method guide. So this is the example of what happened with us. So they gave us back this article, and what we made sure to do is actually proofread the article. So don't be one of those people who does good work on the setup and then forgets to actually proofread it and do the last little bit, which is extremely important. So you're going to want to read through it, make sure there's no errors, make sure it's exactly what you want, they followed your instructions. And then once you add it to your site, you need to make sure to add really good formatting. Make it a really beautiful, pretty article that people are going to want to read, share with their mom, share with their friend, whatever. So for example, you can see this article as an example. What we did was we added this kind of outline here. We added lots of headers, we added links, images. There's these text boxes, which like, do this, don't do this, right? Like it kind of grabs your attention. Lots of images. It's very, very well structured. It's very interesting to look at. It's not just a big block of text. Breaking up the content, basically the best practices of creating really great content that we've talked about in the past, but it's even more important, right? Because this is supposed to be epic content. So you need to do an even better job of doing that. Different check marks, case studies, pictures, etc. Right? And another approach that you can even use as well, which we did not do on this one, but we did on another article, is to actually take off the sidebar and make it more of a landing page. So you can see here, for example, this one was shared a lot, 116 times. And we followed the same kind of process that I just showed you in the other article. Really nice text blocks, really broken up, lots of headers, images. It's just very dynamic, right? But also we took off this sidebar, so it's very focused. It looks very professional. It's something that people are 100% going to want to share because it's got great information. It looks great. It's well written, so it's perfect for accomplishing the goals that we have for this kind of epic content. And finally, just to sort of compare our examples with another popular page, this one's in the how to lose weight category. So you can see here, for example, lots of dynamic images, it's sort of a landing page style article, right? It's got this outline that you can click through. It's got constantly changing text sections, lots of images, very dynamic again. So it follows the same kind of principles that we just went through for our own articles. But I just want to show you one external example as well. And finally, the very last thing you want to make sure that you've done as well, hopefully this is something you did earlier. Again, we go through some of these best practices of content in Module 3, is to make sure that you have things like social share plugins. For example, this is SumoMe for social shares here and sharing images. You want to make sure that you've gone through the best practices of SEO, on-page SEO, so you've optimized for that. Again, just sort of dotting your I's and crossing your T's. And then once you've got your content set up, in the next video, what we're going to be going through is helping you to promote your new awesome content.